Welcome back to Stay Tuned. I'm Tony Angelo, and today we're working on one of my favorite projects, my NASCAR-powered 1955 Chevy. We're gonna do exhaust, wiring, fuel, cooling, and try to get this sucker fired up. I'm already fired up. Let's go. So this is the bullet that's gonna power my 55 Chevy, and believe it or not, this is a legitimate NASCAR Cup car motor. This thing has 2 top 10 finishes in a car with Jimmy Johnson behind the wheel, and it's an absolute lunatic. It's been stroked to a 406 by a drag racer who owned it before me. We had it on the dyno. This thing makes 811 NA horsepower at well over 8,000 RPM. It's full dry sump, roller, everything. It's got the belt on the front. It is a serious racing machine, and I cannot wait to get it fired up, and that means we've got some work ahead of us. Oh, I was just doing some research on highly technical race car stuff, and it can be wicked loud in this shop, and that's a perfect time to talk about the sponsor of today's video, Raycon. They make these killer earbuds. They sold 3 million of their first everyday earbud design, and they just came out with a new one. And sometimes Barb's here making a racket. It sounds like a bunch of typewriters getting thrown down an elevator shaft. And I'm trying to focus, which is hard enough for me already. And these things come in killer. They have active noise cancellation. They also have an awareness mode, which means if I'm out running around doing all the jogging that I definitely do in real life, you just turn on that awareness mode. You can hear cars coming, you know, sirens, whatever. And the best part is, you can't get them to fall out. Doesn't fall out. Boom, doesn't fall out. We work really long hours in the shop, and these suckers are charged up for 32 hours at a time, which is great. One night I might forget to charge it. We're back in here for another 15-hour day, and it's no big deal because they are still here rocking with me the whole time. They come with this protective case. I try to be really careful. I'm known, I think, for being really gentle on equipment. Just generally in life, I'm not reckless, not careless, none of those things. Even if I was, these would take care of it and keep my earbuds safe. So go ahead and go to buyraycon.com/staytuned. You'll get 15% off of your order and free shipping. These things really are killer. They're very affordable, and I use them all the time. All right, let's get back to NASCAR-powered 55s. Here we go.
Man, look at that aluminum underneath.
So we're gonna turn this pile of stainless headers, parts, and supplies into sweet fenderwell headers. I'm gonna start. The SB2 has a different exhaust flange than a regular small block, so we had to get that. This is one of the things that the stainless headers actually carries. And you can see some nice big proper flange. It's gonna help this thing flow. When we ran this thing on the dyno, it made 811 horsepower through pretty small 1.75 inch primary headers. And these are gonna be 2 inch. It'll help it breathe a little bit. Maybe get that number up, 830, 840.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if we do fender wells or conventional style. The twos are huge. A 2 inch coming down here would be tough. So the two kind of schools of thought that are running into each other, drag race style would certainly be, fender well headers that come up, ride down here into some side pipes. NASCAR style would be tight headers, drop down, X pipe into some boom tubes. I like them both. I think they're both super cool. I'm trying to figure out exactly what we're gonna do with this car. I know it'll hit the drag strip at some point, but I like the idea of making something that feels like kind of like a moonshine runner, because obviously the NASCAR roots are kind of moonshiny. It's just like guys that build all like just hot rod their cars up, make them handle, make them turn, make them outrun the police, years and years and years ago. Obviously everyone's doing it legal these days, but that's a cool idea to me, to make this thing handle, to make this thing turn. So do we need those headers for that, or can we kind of give a little bit of a nod to like 2-lane blacktop, all the iconic 55 Chevys, and have proper fender well headers? I think we probably can. The only thing is, like, we think we're saying goodbye to a real boom tube if we do this and an X pipe. And I want it to slam. I want it to be slammed, so I'm worried about 4 tubes running into that thing. I'm going back and forth. All right, so after a little bit of deep squinting and wondering if I could do it, I think I'm gonna run a fender well header, try to keep it nice and high and out of the way of the wheel so I can slam this thing down quite a bit later on and make it all work. Like if we can build V12 headers in a unibody car, we can make V8 headers in a body-on-frame car. That was the longest week of my life. This should be a little bit easier. I'm hoping to get these done, today-ish.
I'm just gonna look and see what makes the most sense. Obviously there's a little bit of space in here. I'm gonna try to just tuck them in between these outriggers for the body mounts and the rocker panel here. So something like this is the idea. All right, now we're working. Cut this back, work the bend in it later. So it's just about a couple tabs, maybe weld just the body. On the driver's side, we got to work on the steering box and the master cylinder. We're going to run a 2-port master. It's quite a bit longer with this adapter plate that we picked up. Still keep it manual brakes because, yeah, we're grown-ups. And so this is definitely the hard side. So we'll start on the other one. Deal with this later. We'll get good at it over here. Bring our newfound skills to this side later. Still keep it manual brakes because it's like, what would Jimmy Johnson do? He would stomp that brake pedal right through the floor. You'd have to reinforce the firewall for that maniac. All right, so Tyler cleaned off some of the metal here. This thing's been painted so many times, it's got rings like a redwood tree. I guess that's cleanish. So what I'm going to do here is just use a couple of small pieces of strap to hold the collector in place. It's really nice when you're working in space, and I don't mean like in space, I mean like in space, like hold this here and then build to it. Because if not, you can't just start running tubes to nowhere. So I'm going to put the collector here, you know, hold it off. I'll weld it with a little bit of a gap between the firewall and the collector, so it's less of a foot warmer, and put it exactly where we need it, and then we can actually start running tubes, which is cool. And we'll just sort of make them one at a time. Generally, we'll run the back ones in and start making space. I'm gonna keep them as high as I can because I wanna keep this car low and let this wheel turn. That's what we have to do. Also, it looks pretty cool. All right, I've got these two pieces.
Spider.
We're gonna MIG weld them on, nobody cry at home. That's more delicate. That's it. This is the other way to go about it. Just point them up, zoomy style. We'll be done in 35 minutes.
So Zimmy would be proud.
All right, so whenever you make headers, you gotta figure out sort of all the runners at the same time, or at least be aware, like, hey, I can't run this one across this port because at some point I'm gonna have another one coming out of here. I think we'll keep these two center ports together since they're right next to each other. Those will come up, go to this outside pair of runners on the collector, and these guys will tuck in behind it. Kind of all four will come up, plug into the front here, and then it'll be cool. So it'll just be two out and up, two behind it, up, find a place to go. Gotta cut this on the radius. On the radius means inside to outside on whatever radius. So whenever you cut it, what you're gonna get is a perfectly round circle. You start cutting it like this or like that, and it's gonna make ovals and make stuff impossible to fit up, and it's not going to flow as well. So I'm trying to cut right on the radius. Best tool ever. Perfect. That's a start right there. That's good enough for the government sweet date. I'm gonna tack my first head tube in there. Got my Miller Synchrowave 210, turned out to about 109 amps. I am not a fantastic TIG welder by any means, but I could do a little bit.
Feel good here?
How do you feel?
I feel good.
I'm gonna try to fusion tack it in there. Can you open up? We're gonna have to break these off after. That's fine, right there.
You sure?
You got it? Yeah. Well, that's good. I may have to add a little filler. Good. Ready? Mm-hmm. Just kidding. Ready? Here we go. Yep. Did I do anything? No, I'm adding a little filler. Come on.
Getting a little hot.
That welder will do that. Cool. We'll have the second one. Since these inner cylinders ride together, get those perfect. And then we'll start talking about bringing the outer ones in, and then all four of them have to come up and back down. Barb is back. He brought his custom torch. And apparently that was definitely the problem. It wasn't me, it was the torch, obviously, for that hole I burned in that one header tube. Tyler's gonna attack these rear drums, and we're gonna keep on rocking. So I'm gonna just start fitting the outer tubes. They're gonna nestle in right behind these inner tubes and kind of come up as like a 4 block. And I'm just gonna eyeball it. I put the ends, the spark plug wire ends on the spark plug, so you know, make sure I give myself enough room to get around them.
Made in USA, they don't look too old either, but we're not going to take the gamble.
We've been running this do-all saw for about 2 weeks now. It's 50 years old. This thing is a monster. Love it. Same here. This is like a 1 horsepower disc sander I got. It's Army surplus. The best. 2 will come over the top, wind up here. 2 under ones will wind up dipping out to the corner. Do you want to start working our way out here, Barb? Actually, I might just make 2 of everything, so it kind of works for us.
To the other side?
Yeah. Alright, it's pretty late, and these angles aren't angling how we want them to, so my eyes are on fire. We're gonna go home.
Ow.
We're gonna get some sleep, dream about pipes, and then we'll do it in the morning.
Whose pipes?
Alright, it's a whole new day here. Looking at what we did last night, this part's cool, that part's cool. We just gotta make something that makes sense in the middle. In our delirium, we kind of forgot about hood hinges. Obviously, we could pin this hood, but we'd like to keep it you know, hinged up if possible. So we bolted the hinges back on. They have a super cool movement in them. They're geared, and they're chrome, and they have these cool gold springs. So if we can rock with them, we will, but you can see they're gonna make things quite a bit tighter down here. So the plan is now, we're gonna chop these pipes down just a little bit and start trying to bring these over as like a flat 90. We're gonna get rocking on that and try to get it all sorted out. Let's do it. So are we going here? Cool. One thing you've got to do is, like, obviously the wheel's going to move up and down, so we're going to emulate ride height. We're going to pull the springs out, put some blocks in there, lower this sucker 4 inches or so. So that's about where we think it's going to ride around, and then we'll have our, the upper limit will be this sucker, and the bottom limit will be the tires, and then we'll at least know where we can fit these headers, because I don't want to do this twice. So here we go, pulling this off, setting her down to party town. It's not going to be NASCAR low, but it's not going to be monster truck high, whatever we got going on here. Whatever version of the Carolina squat we're rocking here. This is the Carolina knot. Man, they really put them into place.
Yeah, it sucks. I've already broken half of one of them.
You gonna be okay? Mm-hmm. If you want to talk about it, I'm always here.
Thanks, buddy.
Mostly working on the cars, but
Hang on.
There you go.
I don't think so.
Can't even see it, dude.
That's the one, maybe.
The 50s, baby. Everything was 3/4. Good times. Except for houses, those were $2 grand. So sometimes we like to name the projects if it's like something kind of tremendous, which I feel like this car is. Things like my fishtail Cuda, I named that one because it's, it's fish. Barracuda's a fish, and like fishtails, whatever, it doesn't matter. Anyway, people have sent me some great ones already. Quick and dirty is what I wanted to call it, which I think is always fun.
Yep.
Sort of how we live our lives out here at Stay Tuned. But somebody said checkered pass, which is cool because like it's a NASCAR checkered flag. Pit lane blacktop, which is kind of fun, like 2-lane blacktop, pit lane blacktop, and then 55 Revy. I like them all, but I'd like to hear what you guys think. Shout them out in the comments. We'll look them over. I always get super excited when people hit us with a good one.
There was one real funny one. It was like NASCAR 55 Chevy. I was like,
Yeah,
creative one.
Give it some thought, maybe. Give it a once over.
NASCAR 55 Chevy with a NASCAR motor and
Yes.
wheels and tires.
Is that your suggestion? Was it you that wrote that?
It was not.
Is that Owen's suggestion?
Yeah. There it is.
You see it?
I saw it already. Good? Oh, yeah.
Just free itself. All right, now raise the car up off the frame. You can do this on the ground too. If you're pulling these suspensions apart. With a shock, it's pretty easy. Most of the time I take the wheels off. But basically you take the upper arm off, leave the shock on, do the same thing, hammer it off, and then put a jack underneath that lower arm, remove your shock, and you can kind of like safely release the tension on the spring. We're doing it a little bit differently because we have a lift.
Didn't do that.
Down. Keep going.
Tires are sitting on here, right?
Hey, they're gonna come down and then we can pry these springs out. More even. Just put it up. That's what we got this lift for. Hey, faces. There we go.
There we go.
All right. Yeah, I'll come in there. Yeah, you want to help the bottom. There you go. Hey. Woo! Spring is sprung, baby.
Oh, baby. All right. Bolt it up and put this thing on the floor. All right, you want to kick that one up and I'll go down with this? Say when.
Hold on. I'll just lift it up. Now we're talking. Keep going.
Out there.
So I think the most
Because
important
it was
thing
sitting on the
wheels to
here.
frame.
Yeah, that's about
That's
2.5,
probably it.
3 inches. Yeah.
We worried about the overall diameter of the wheel. So
Oh, it's sick.
yeah. All right, there she is. Wow, we ordered from a new place this week. Limerick Pizza Kitchen. This thing looks absolute fire. As we always say, stay tuned as a pizza team with a racing problem. This looks incredible. We run on pizza and no sleep. That's how we do it here. Building down dirty hot rods and having a blast. Normally we say you can buy us a pie, but I'm gonna say it again this week. Instead of buying us a pie, which we super appreciate it when people do that, go out and check out Steve Mignante's GoFundMe if you can. If you're gonna buy us a pie, instead throw those bucks towards Steve. We'll put a link in the description. He's a super awesome hot rod dude with a wealth of knowledge in his brain. He had some major health complications, and now he's raising money to pay off monstrous medical bills. So, all right, time to dig in. Wait, no, the memberships. We just talked about memberships.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. Oh, and we're still doing our thing. We have a Pizza Squad membership program where you get discounts on merch, a little bit extra videos every week ahead of time. If the main video is up, you'll get to see it early. It's pretty cool. Check it out. There's a link in the description, too.
Let's see.
Please help. Please. I'll just make a long run of these, I think.
Well, put your. Okay. That's bottomed.
Yeah, I really need it. I have this, yeah, I cut it so it would come right on the bin. So let me just get you a longer one of these. We wound up going with fenderwell headers. We won't have an X pipe. We're not going to run a boom tube, but we do want the sweet fenderwell headers. We'll have a nice long muffler. It's just like boom tubes and fenderwell headers cannot coexist. It's like, Chicago pizza and people with good taste. They just don't.
Burn. Insert clip of New York pizza here.
Too much? Look, it's good. It's not pizza. It's like a tomato cake
Yeah.
with hot cheese on it.
Yeah. It's like a.
Crust. Yeah. All right, come on, let's hold
That
this.
sounds right.
You poison everything you touch. It will cure the cancer. Can't you hear what's coming round? Like a warning shot that's dripping through the quiet night air. So much louder than the sound. Fascist priests are
I'm about ready to weld these suckers back in and finish up this header, but it's dinner time. Zimmy is back. He's been making fancy hot rods at Ludwig's Custom Auto, right?
That's the spot.
Serious, fancy, nice stuff. A little different than what we're doing here.
This is nice.
This is cool. This is ours. Anyway, we are going to see Zimmy again soon. We're doing a cool charity race for the Children's Hospital of Pennsylvania. It's called Race for the House. If you are in the area, June 15th of this year, we're going to do a stay tuned shootout. We're bringing out the Lincoln, the Firebird, Zimmy's Camaro. Tyler's going to bring his Blazer.
Hell yeah.
What else we got? We're bringing a
Bringing the Nova?
my 911. Barb won't bring the Nova.
What a
It's
sissy.
not ready.
Oh.
I'll pick it up.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll be there. It'll be awesome. He's just coming by. It's prime rib time.
heard
So
there
he
was
heard it's prime
food.
rib time, so we're going to do it.
Oh, yeah.
Let's dig in. And if you're in town, we'll see you there. Maple Grove, June 15th.
Be there, be square.
Yes.
I'll be the one getting sunburned. Having a good time. It's for the kids.
I just wanted to know.
Do it. Which one is the big one?
So we're gonna rip this master cylinder off of here. It's about 8,000 years old, and we have a Mopar style, right? It's like an old Mopar style, strange style, whatever. 2-pot master cylinder. We're gonna flip flop.
You got Tupac's master cylinder? Yeah.
And baby.
Love that guy. I knew he wasn't here. He's out there making master cylinders. That's so
He's doing
cool.
something. That's good.
Oh yeah, that's a good.
You wanna take
It's
this
got
on?
seasoning on there.
Zach's gonna lay down some of his signature Zach Tax. See if he still got the juice. Ow. What? I don't know what just happened. I think it was grinding through my finger. It's pretty good.
Where's the ground even at?
Beauty. Dang.
Still got it.
You got it. This
Never
guy.
lost it.
Yeah.
That's a header.
Sure is, bud.
Look at it.
Look at that sucker.
Look at it.
Zach hit the tack, and on his way out the door, hit us with the Pennsylvania Dutch goodbye. That's where you come over, eat a bunch of prime rib, and do a big old burnout while you're leaving.
That'll work. That's healthy. It's healthy. All right, that's it. Last tack. Passenger side header is done. Barb's gonna come in and start rocking on that driver's side. I'm gonna do literally anything else. And we'll keep on rocking on this 55. I hope to hear it fire up soon. I'm very excited. Those turned out pretty great. What are we doing? Fancy work here? What is that? Everything lines up. At this rate, we'll be ready for SEMA 2028. We'll see you there. All right, we are gonna run this Mopar style master cylinder. It's not quite as compact as we'd like it to be, so we measured out a Willwood one online. It's 2 inches shorter. So Barb's just gonna make a pipe welded, tack welded to a piece of plate, bolt that in place. It'll kind of be like, hey, just smack this with an exhaust tube so it melts it later. So it'll take the place, it'll be a mock-up. Nice quick and dirty mock-up in space so we know where not to go. Didn't see you there. So we are mounting this fuel cell in. Tyler's doing his first bit of fabrication ever. I found this. This is.
What? I did the S10.
What'd you do?
I did the shifter plate.
I'm sorry. Second bit of fabrication ever. Trying to give you props for what you're doing as a newbie, but he's an old hand. Anyway, we're gonna take these mounts that we cut off of the Buick motor mounts, make little pedestals to level these little divots and these rails in the floor pan, so we can bolt everything in. Just trim them, tack them in. I'll probably stitch this big old hole back together, and it's gonna look pretty cool. Get that on camera?
I did. Watch those phalanges,
That's a
bro.
no. Turn them. It's gonna drive itself rearward.
In the next scene, Tyler smartens up.
Yeah. Can we clearance it?
Is that gonna affect anything?
Sorry.
I'm getting ready to get this fuel cell mounted in. Just gonna stitch this. They just hacked a big hole. I think this thing probably had a little cell in it with a sump, and back in the day, cut that thing with a Sawzall, bend it down, call it good. I'm gonna stitch it back together, position mine off to the side a little bit so it'll sit flat, drill it in, cut a little bit nicer hole, and, you know, keep on rocking. We got 2 welders going and the bandsaw. This is the most stuff we're taxing our very limited power supply, but we're both on 110 with these things since they do 220 and 110, and that's the old bandsaw's taking the only 220 out that we've got. Hey! Almost there. So, 35 years ago, somebody quickly hacked this hole into this thing, and I'm just unhacking it. I don't make my own hole. Right here, right where the X is. Yeah, this is taking a little bit of time. It's all right. Having a blast. About 30% of those welds are respectable. I'll take it. What hole? Just casually filling a 1/2-inch gap. Don't get me started on these giant holes over here that were cut with like a tin can, like a can opener. Deal with those later. Right now, that looks nice. This, disaster, but in the middle, good.
The steering box here is really close to the flange where all the primary tubes have to come off of the cylinder head. We had plenty of space on that side, but this side was much tighter. So I made a bunch of pie cuts, which is a real pain in the butt to weld. However, gets it really, really tight to the cylinder head. Give us about 1/8 of an inch gap there. We can always make a little bit of a dent to help clearance it a little bit more, but it just creates a much tighter radius on the inside. And then I actually measured the angle at which the tubes come off of the bend down off of the cylinder head here, and this is actually like within 1/2 of a degree, which is great. I was a little bit worried that it wasn't going to match up, but it's going to be a little bit different side to side, but trying to make it as most, aesthetically pleasing as we can while revving this to 50 billion RPM.
Talk to me, Goose.
That's good marks.
It's well past midnight. We are still rocking and rolling. Actually, no, we're not. We're wrapping this up. That's what we're doing. Hey.
We're done rocking.
We're done rocking and rolling for the night. We're having a blast here. This header came out absolutely awesome. This is like a labor of love. It takes forever, but I could not be more excited about how this whole car is turning out. Barb is rocking on the driver's side. We're gonna get some sleep, come back, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, keep on rocking. I will start getting the fuel system dialed in, and I'll see you in the morning. Look at that. Look at that. We're doing our absolute best to make this car pretty cool and pretty nice. Keep it maybe not so down and dirty, just like a little middle and
It's like medium,
cleanish,
semi-clean.
cleanish. Well, hey, good morning. We are back in the shop. It's time to mount up my fuel cell. I actually have to now cut my own hole after I spent an hour and a half repairing that hole. But I'll make a nicer one and a smaller one, and one that fits this a little bit better. I have to cut out for the sump. It's going to obviously lay down below the trunk floor. It's going to lay down below the trunk floor. There we go. And we'll make it look nice. It's going to be great. One thing you should do when you're figuring out where your fuel cell is going to sit is get it in space. Get it in there. I'm putting these fittings on so I know how big to make that rectangle. And I'm thinking right about here. It's good to mount the fuel pump behind the cell so that when you are hitting the gas is sloshing backwards and it's feeding the pump, especially on a car that makes some horsepower. But another thing you want to do is this. Make sure the trunk closes.
Do you speak from experience?
I've watched other people put a meth tank in a Lincoln and then try to close the trunk, and then it didn't. The hinges hit it. So just give it a quick once over. Just go, oh.
Oh,
cool.
I know the guy he's talking about.
Yes, I bet you know him real well. Anyway, obviously this is, you could fit, you know, 3 of these fuel cells, a couple of golf bags. Yeah, 55 Chevy, no problem. I just need a tape measure. It's the most elusive tool in the shop always. Not only do they seem to wander around all the time, even if I'm looking straight at it, I can't see it. It's like made out of like, I don't know, it's like a zebra in the bush. That's actually not even a good example of what I'm saying. Zebras don't have stripes to blend in anywhere. Zebras have stripes to confuse predators so that they can't see where one zebra starts and the other one stops. How that helps, I don't really know, but that's how it goes. So we're gonna keep this nice and clean, but make sure it has enough space to come on down. We'll call it 11 inches. And then this way we'll do maybe 7. All right, perfect. Nope, never mind. Try that over. I don't know how big that is. And this doesn't have to be exact, but it's better than the, we're gonna try to do a little bit better job than the dude who used a hatchet probably 40 years ago. Barb's over there working on some headers, finishing those up. He's using his Wookiee language this morning.
You gotta do what you gotta do. Alright.
Yup. That was Wookiee for I'm tired of welding pipes together.
Do you speak the language?
I do. Alright, let's cut it. Maybe they see the zebras like a whole pack of zebras and they're like, man, that's one giant zebra. And
I don't wanna mess
I'm
with
out.
that.
I'm out. I can't tell when one zebra starts and the other one stops. This looks like 15-foot long zebra. I gotta get out of here. That's probably what it is. Tape's in the shop. This is what you pay for. Attention to detail. I could make the same CAD design, cardboard aided design joke you've all heard 300 times, but let's skip it. We're better than that.
Is that you making the joke though?
Yeah,
That's pretty meta, dude. I don't know.
all right, there she is. I could have just, you know what? I could have just got a license plate and traced it. Would have been fine. All right, we're gonna give a quick look underneath. Yep, it's a 55 Chevy. We are gonna mount the fuel pump just hanging off here, screaming as loud as it can because number 1, that's wicked cool. And number 2, it's actually a good place for it. I'll put the cell back in, left to right. I'm gonna mark, the one thing I am gonna mark here is, so if we're there, we need to be about 4 inches past the back of the tank for this to work. I say tank, I mean cell. You don't know what tanks know. So one of the reasons that I filled that hole last night, mostly because it was ugly as sin, but also that way I can now mount the cell over to the left and it can sit flat. There's some rails and some cutouts and some folds and some bead rolls in here that just weren't going to work for us. All right, she's all marked up. Everybody hollered at me to get safety glasses, which I get. Here we go. Safe as can be, plus these look cool. We got that going for us. All right, little flap wheel, we'll be all right. Now that I've vacuumed up all the petrified mount poop from the Carter administration and some shavings, we're gonna lay this sucker in. Boom. Right like that. Center it right on there. Beautiful. I'll mark it. Look at some modern technology with some riv nuts. It's gonna be great. I'm also gonna stitch that one. Boom. All right, those suckers mounted. I think ideally down the road, if we're gonna do some street driving with this thing, like a drag and drive event, we'll have decent sized tank of E85 for street driving. But I'm not sure if we're able to race this 14.5 to 1 compression small block on E85. We'll find out. Maybe a little tank of Q16 or C16 over here. You know, the hot leaded good stuff. We'll figure it out. I actually don't love running leaded gas. If we can get away with something else, we will. But right now, we know we need at least one big old tank. There it is. I'm gonna run this Holly pump, feed this beast up front that makes 800 and maybe 40 horsepower by the time we're done. This is 12-1800-2. It is a dual inlet 200 gallon per hour pump at 8 PSI. It pulls a little bit less than 20 amps or so. And believe it or not, it can support at 8 PSI about 2,000 horsepower. So we've got a little room to grow if we need it. What we really love about this is the dual inlet. We'll take both of these sump outlets off the fuel cell, run them into this bad boy, and then we will run probably a regulator in return. So we should be plenty of fuel because you certainly don't want to starve that nasty SB2.2 we've got rocking up front. Everybody stays fed here and stay tuned. That's how we do it. It is the hottest day of the year, apparently, so far. I'm dying. We're going to see. It's time to knock the sleeves off this shirt. We're going to lose the shop shirt on. There's a joke about every overly dramatic cable TV car building show because it's like, you know, $2 million shop and 55 dudes. And they're like, if we don't get this carburetor bolted on right now, we're going to lose the shop. And then they go to commercial and it's like, they come back and they're like, oh, it does fit now. We had to adjust the thing. We ground up. We drilled the holes bigger and it fits now. Anyway, fake drama's the worst. Let's cut a shirt up. Perfect. Sometimes you gotta let those puppies breathe for the week.
Gonna lose the sleeves, baby.
Yeah, we're gonna lose the sleeves. Sun's out, guns out. Call it what you will. Now we can work. Seems to be a little bit of fabric coming out of there. There was nothing on here that says stay tuned t-shirt. You know, it does have nickel, chromium, and bakelite, hard rubber, asbestos, porcelain, a lot of stuff on there. Not t-shirt. Works well. We're gonna go the extra mile. I've got the pump bolted onto the plate that I made. Barbie's gonna do a couple little welds on these nuts so that they'll just stay on there. When I weld the plate in, you don't have to try to fish around behind it with a wrench to take this thing on and off. The nuts will just be welded. You just bolt it in and bolt it out. And it's nice. We do kind of like race car type stuff. I always try to make things really easy to put in and take out because I don't know if you know this, but they break a lot.
This is the stuff that people don't think about. Didn't skip it. Bigger the glob, the better the job.
Those headers are put together finally for good. This has been a ton of work, but we're trying to do a nice job with this car. But I need a break. Barb, you need a break?
Break.
Needs a break. Let's talk about another 55. let's talk about the Buick. Last time we got this sucker rocking and rolling down the road, you saw it, you know, do the thing a lot of these old cars do. It died. And I'm gonna say it wasn't our fault, especially me. I'm not saying that Tony broke it, Tony didn't broke it this time, because what failed was a transmission. Motor runs great, exhaust sounds killer, the suspension is awesome, and this car made it 10 miles down the road, and as soon as it got hot, it would just slip like crazy. But here's the deal. It is fun for like the first 2 minutes. We've driven it around right by the shop a couple times, and I think it's time to just put the hammer down. It's already broken.
Yeah.
Can we break it anymore? Maybe.
So you're saying you got to do the burnout before the transmission gets too hot,
Yes.
but while the motor is warm
It's
enough.
hot enough to run good.
Got it.
Let's find out.
Well, the good thing is it runs nearly perfectly right off of
This
the
is for
first key
science.
crack.
You're gonna get in or what? Get in. Shit. So this thing runs good until it warms up and the transmission slips like crazy. Besides that, it drives like an absolute champion. Find a gear. There's one. There she is. I've been cruising it up and down the road a bunch because it's so good.
Once she gets going.
Yeah, this thing's the best.
Hell yeah.
Whew, I can breathe again. Head's clear. Let's get back to work. Sweet. All right. Mike Kuntz. Mike Slum on Instagram has been shooting for us, camera guy style. We have maybe scumbagged him into a burnout. You're looking at 2.7 liters of 4-cylinder Fury. The rain's gonna help you. Okay, so I totally forgot about the pre-filters. That's the one between the cell and the inlet of the pump. So the pump's not going here. It's gonna go right on the frame rail here. Filters will go there. Is it in the way of those leaf springs? Absolutely. Does it matter? No, because they're not gonna be there that long. So I know it. If you wanna yell at me in the comments, do it anyway. Just go, oh, you idiot. The leaf spring's right there. I wanna see the best one. Hit me with some mean ones. I'm gonna mark where this is gonna get welded to, so I know where to clean. The thing that you can do if it's like a box tube like this is you make the mark below it, and that way you don't wipe the mark off when you're cleaning it. I'm about to answer the question, do welding sleeves work when you've already knocked your own sleeves off? Welding overhead is not my favorite, but it's better than welding overhead on your back, so at least this way I can run out of the way. Let's stick it up just a hair. Should be great right there. All right, everybody close your eyes. Okay. I sure hope those leaf springs don't hit it. Make sure everything looks gonna bolt up just fine. Cool, that's cool. Nothing in the back the bolt's gonna run into. Fantastic. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be strong enough to stay on forever. Maybe a little bit easier to remove if we gotta cut that cage out. There's a couple of little beads. No big difference. Yeah, it's nice being able to hold something up. I think Holly says their recommendation is mount it below the cell. The flow, the outlet should point forward or up and as far back as possible. I think we did all those three things. Feels good. It's gonna work just fine. It's gonna pump that gas. I wanna see some mean comments about these leaf. Those leaf springs are gonna run right into that thing. Sweet, all right, I wanna see this thing on the ground. We are really making some killer progress. I'm gonna cut a couple of coils off the springs, put this thing down on the ground with the motor in under its own weight for the first time in probably 40 years. Very excited just to see how it's gonna sit. We made those headers with a ton of clearance so this thing can sit nice and low. I want to make sure we did a decent job. So where are those big old springs at? All right, I know I want to bring the front end down a little bit. It's not exactly the right way to do it, but it is the way to do it. I'm just going to start knocking some coils off this spring. Yes, I'm going to cut it on my favorite tool, the bandsaw. I'd cut sandwiches with this thing if I could. that look like? Coil and a half? Get it right up. Take your time. I cut my shirt with this today. Okay, hold on.
Oh yeah.
It's something already.
Woo!
That's pretty wicked.
Go stand over there. Look at that view.
All right. Man. Wow. This is pretty wild. I kind of got the chills. Look at that thing. NASCAR powered 55. Already pretty low. Looking radical. Raked out a little bit. This is a little bit of a moment for me. I'm not getting emotional, but it's pretty cool. That's pretty cool, man. We'd always talked about like, what this car needs is a stick and a high revving small block. And I was like, dream idea. Put a NASCAR motor in it, the ultimate high revving small block. Then I found one. Then we saved some pennies and got it. And there it is, man. And it's coming together. I'm very excited. We just spent like, I don't know, 15 minutes just staring at this thing. It is pretty epic. I'm very excited. I took a million phone pics, sent them to everybody we know, sent one to Finnegan. And I think it's time to keep on rocking. I want to get the front end on there and get the radiator in, start making the radiator hoses, and just keep on chugging. But I am excited. I feel like the new burst of energy to keep on going. Let's go. Watch where you go. There you go. All right, so it's gonna, they usually have to like kind of come out at the back, swing around the wheel. There you go. Just sit. Just let it sit there. That's quite a change in 1 second.
Sure is.
Yeah, so the front got to come up a little bit, but no big deal. There just needs to be a little gap, a little something down here. Yeah, there's no rubber. There's supposed to be a rubber mount on the bottom. But that header in the fender, dude. That's, look at that, sneak on that one. I'm gonna cut a little block of wood. Just saying, we're gonna go quite a bit lower with this thing. I'm just trying to see what's gonna be the first thing that hits on the highway. And I guess the steering, drag link, we're gonna have to get a lower drag link. We found a local shop back in where I grew up in Doylestown in Bucks County that will take your link and lower it for you, which is pretty cool. So we're gonna head over there, but once that's down an inch or two, it's really well packaged. Nothing's hanging down crazy. Obviously, it's a small block and a 55 Chevy, so feels like it belongs. So it's sitting pretty. We are going to run this Summit 3-core radiator. I can see that the mounts on the 55 are a little bit mangled. So I am going to do my best body shop impression. Excuse me, hand metal artist. This is a block of aluminum off that Tesla. And this is a ball peen hammer. And I'm just gonna, there you go. Try to straighten that out a little bit. Hey, it's working. Cool. Yeah, I think if you run these and you don't have the right, might need a spacer. They just get a little bit mangled up. I'm gonna come from this side on this one. Hang on that thing for long enough. I'm gonna lay this sucker in there and see what we're dealing with. NASCARs run a rubber lower hose and an AN upper. We are looking at welding a dash 20 bung right to our radiator and running the NASCAR style setup. But it's a little offset. You might be better off with like a Yeah, it's gonna be, you're asking a lot of that hose for sure.
Up a little bit. Up. Yep.
You got, did you get any?
Just so far offset.
Yeah.
All right, we are just about ready to do our upper hose. The idea is run it AN style. That actually stands for Army Navy. It's the fancy hose that you see on basically every race car since the beginning of time. And what we're gonna do is knock off the slip-on outlet there, weld on a proper AN style outlet, and then make the proper length Earl's hose. But the issue is we only have straights and we need a 45 for this end because we're asking it to do, believe it or not, a pretty intense bend. I don't think it's gonna be very happy. But we are rocking and rolling with this project. We could not be more excited about this, but I think we are finally out of parts for this week. I'm out of stamina. That's gonna be it for this episode of Stay Tuned. I am just so thrilled how this thing's coming together. It's a really special project to me. I've got, you know, a couple bucks in here and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. And I love how it's coming out. We're taking a little bit of extra time to do a pretty good job on this thing. I'm pretty proud of it already, if I'm being honest. So if you've got cool names for this project, throw them in the comments. Thanks for watching. We're gonna keep on rocking on this thing, and we will see you guys next time. Please like and subscribe. By the way, we are creeping up on 300,000 subscribers. Again, the support has been amazing. We didn't even know if we could do this like full time. We've been able to do it. All of our supporters, you guys have been amazing. And yeah, when we hit 300, we'll do something. We'll celebrate. Maybe I'll burn out 300 feet or write 300 in the ground until we get arrested with some tires. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But thanks for watching. If you're new, please like and subscribe. And we'll see you guys next time. Look at the pretty part. Don't look at me. Look at that thing.